Uncertainty isn't the problem. Confusion is. Now, teams can handle change, but what really breaks momentum is when we as leaders, when we start sending out mixed signals. That's why I want to talk to you today about signals in transition. Now, leadership transitions shake things up even in stable times, but in uncertainty, every signal gets amplified because the team that you're on isn't just watching what you do. They're interpreting it. They're assigning meaning to it. They're making decisions based on it. And every move you make as a leader in a time of transition, in a time of uncertainty, is a signal that gets put through a megaphone, and it just gets louder and louder and louder. And when the signals are unclear, uncertainty, it really stops being manageable and starts becoming confusion. Now, Disney gives us a great case study on how leaders should move well in uncertainty. And if you've been paying attention to anything that's happened at Disney over the past few years, you know that they have been dealing with a fair amount of uncertainty. We all know Disney isn't just a company. Disney is a promise people feel. Disney is stories. Disney is experience. Disney is culture, and a lot of people enjoy the Disney way of life. You enjoy the stories that Disney tells. You enjoy the experiences that Disney creates. And you enjoy the culture of all things Disney. Now, here's what makes Disney different. Culture at Disney isn't just this internal idea. Culture is the byproduct, or maybe I should just say culture is part of the product, because people don't only measure performance. They measure, does this feel like Disney? Now let's insert a leadership transition. At a recent shareholders meeting, it was announced that Josh D'Amaro is the new CEO. Now, this is a public handoff. It's high visibility, it's high interpretation, it's high awareness. And every move that Josh makes, everything that he does, every facial expression, every word, every appointment, every suggestion, it's going to be taken as a signal. And the bigger context matters here when you think about everything that's been happening at Disney over the last several years. The transition is happening during uncertainty, not a vague uncertainty, a specific uncertainty. There's been scrutiny around succession. We've been talking for years about who's going to replace Bob Iger when Iger came back to the company. There's a reorg happening. There's pressure from Wall Street. And Disney is a part of a media industry that's changing by the minute. So people are watching not just what the CEO does, but what the new CEO signals. And if Disney is not careful, and they've navigated this before, signals can get complicated really, really fast, because Disney is navigating growth from two major engines: the Disney Experience division, the theme parks, the cruise lines, the resorts, and then the streaming services, Disney Plus, Hulu, now ESPN is a part of this. And in some way or another, you've experienced Disney from these two growth engines. Maybe you've been on a Disney cruise, or you've been at a park and gone on a roller coaster, so you know about the Disney experience that way. Or maybe your favorite show comes on one of these streaming platforms and you've experienced Disney that way. Two areas of focus, but the idea is that it's one Disney. Now, if signals aren't coherent, especially in this new CEO transition, then we can get whiplash on your team as a leader in a transition. You don't give us clear signals because we won't know what matters the most. We won't know what winning means. We won't know what to prioritize. And that's when uncertainty turns into confusion. So I read Josh D'Amaro's his first memo really, really closely because as a CEO, as a senior leader, your first communication is always a signal document, whether you know it or not. And what Josh did in that first memo maps perfectly to an idea and a framework that I use with leaders navigating transition. And I call this the Coherence Code. It's what every leader must send, what every conversation needs to be framed around when you, as a leader, when you're navigating transition. Now, this isn't a motivational speech. It's not just an aspirational framework. It's a system for decision making and for protecting what matters the most. And there are three parts to this coherence code. The first one is holding on to what stays true, and not just holding on to it. It's amplifying in conversation what stays true. These are the non-negotiables. It's the values, it's the standards, it's the promise that you make to the people that need to get the work done, the people that you depend on. D'Amaro names this clearly in his first memo. He says storytelling and creative excellence are the North Star for Disney. Now, that's not a new direction. It's a declaration of what won't change, of what doesn't change, of what can't change. Because if you don't name what stays true, if you don't name that North Star, people will assume that everything has changed. And for D'Amaro, storytelling and creative excellence, that's just not going to change about Disney. But the Coherence Code, you also have to outline what does change and what are the pathways for those changes. What must evolve because the environment has changed. And D'Amaro talks about this in his memo as well. He says, we will embrace technology to unlock new possibilities. Innovation has always been a part of Disney's DNA, and used thoughtfully, it can empower our storytellers and strengthen our capabilities to help us create more immersive, more interactive, and more personal ways to experience Disney. And those are change signals. What can we as Disney do to create more, build on what we have now, and in this space of change, we want to be even more immersive. We want to be even more interactive. We want to be even more personal so that people experience Disney in this way. Now, here's the thing. If you don't name what's changing, we start to fill the gaps with rumors. We start to fill up this white space of opportunity with all of these ideas that may not be helpful. The third part of the Coherence Code is clearly articulating what's our framework for decision. Through what lens are we looking through when we make decisions? Now, this is the one that most leaders skip because how you make decisions, listen, how you make decisions as a leader and as a leadership team is culture in action. And D'Amaro called it. He named it One Disney. This is alignment across the whole system. Decisions filtered through the lens of one Disney. He says when our teams are aligned and when they're working in a connected way, we're unmatched. No one can do what Disney does. And when we follow through with a sense of alignment and connectedness across the Disney platform, across the Disney footprint, it will allow us to have radical success. Alignment across the whole system. Decisions made through the lens of one Disney. Now, these three signals together, that's what I call the Coherence Code. What stays true, what changes, how we decide. And as a leader, this isn't a vision deck. It's not a press release. It's a signal system. And it isn't just for Disney. It's for you. It's for any leader who is navigating a transition, a new role, a new team, a new strategy, a new environment, anywhere where there is the potential or opportunity for signals to get crossed. Now, here's what I've seen consistently with leaders who are working in transition, that creativity needs two things. One, it needs safety, and creativity also needs clarity, because if everything just feels random, if people don't know what's true, then they stop taking the smart risk. They start playing it safe. We'll see which way the wind blows. And our best creative people, our best thinkers, they start to go quiet. The organization suffers. Because the blunt truth of all of this is that confusion actually punishes creativity. And the culture, it needs visibility. You can't assume it. You have to model it, reward it, repeat it, outline it the same way that Josh did in his first CEO memo, but especially in the case of transition. Because the culture, when we talk about organizational culture, it's not something that's waiting for a sense of certainty. Culture fills up the space that you and your team leaves empty. So let me give you some reflection prompts that you can take back to your team for maybe your next leadership team meeting, maybe the offsite. As you're having conversations around the change you're navigating, here are some prompts to help you make sense of it all. Now, these are not rhetorical. These are working questions, and there are three of them. Question number one is, how are we creating confusion without knowing it? How are we creating confusion in the midst of this change, in the midst of this transition, in the midst of this new plan, this big idea that we're all excited about? In what ways are we creating some confusion without even knowing it? Question number two, what signals are we sending on purpose versus the ones that we might be sending by accident? And question number three, what's unnamed? What haven't we named yet as part of our pivot, as a part of our transition? What haven't we named as a part of our change? We've left it unnamed, and people are already starting to fill it in themselves with their own ideas, their own interpretations, their own perspectives. And where is that dangerous? Now, bring these questions, these three questions, to your team. And when you bring them, the answers will tell you everything that you need about where your coherence code needs work, and it will position you to give better, stronger, more clear signals, especially in the space of transition.